Welcome to my show. A guest here. His name is Wissam Moubarak. Mr. Wissam, how are you doing, sir?
I'm doing fine, thank you. And thank you for having me.
All right. Thank you so much for the time and the opportunity, Mr. Wissam. Firstly, you are an author. You are also a seasoned professional in the corporate world. Can you please, Mr. Wissam, discuss more about yourself and how you are doing currently now, Mr. Wissam?
Sure, thank you. So, my name is Wissam Moubarak, as you mentioned. I've spent over 30 years in the corporate world, spanning across finance, operations, human resources management, management consulting, and other areas. And throughout this period, I was leading teams and navigating challenges of operational type or organizational culture and leadership types. But alongside that journey, I've always been fascinated by the world of personal growth and wisdom, and how wisdom, and not just knowledge, shapes our lives, shapes the way we live, the way we work together, the way we relate to each other. So my debut book, which was initially intended to be a gift to my three daughters, and then I decided to publish it and offer all the readers some life insights and some life lessons. Uh, it's very far from being I would say, a theoretical book. It's based on lived experiences. It's a compilation of life lessons and personal reflections with some leadership insights. So it's not about abstract theories, it's about how wisdom shows up in our daily choices. And my hope is that the book serves as a kind of life manual, as a kind of life companion to readers, and that could help them probably pause, reflect, and live with more purpose.
The beauty of you going into the being in the management sector and having to spend the time to write a book like this that dive with the point of personal growth and also healing is so beautiful. And having the idea that you want to give it to your children and even having the mindset to say you want to bring it out to the people to actually read this is so beautiful on its own way, that drive to the point of the personal growth. And also I would like to drive to your book. I know you've discussed more regarding the book. That is something you write from your personal growth, from when you're in the management area, then you decided to just write this book. But I would like to just dive more for you to discuss more on the book, Echoes of a
Sure,
Valley. Can you please, Mr. Wissam, discuss more on that book? And do you also plan to write more books in the coming future, Mr. Wissam?
sure. First of all, when I decided to write this life manual, it was a result of a discussion I had with my daughters. We were hiking in the serene valleys of Lebanon, the Canubin valleys here in Lebanon. And we were having a break under a huge oak tree. And then we started discussing life, death, relationships, family matters. And this is when the idea came up. This is when I told my daughters, you just gave me the idea to offer you some sort of a life manual, some sort of compilation of life lessons that you can read, that you can keep, and that can become your life companion. And so, why Echoes of a Valley? It's first of all, it's because the lessons we learn usually echo back to our lives. And since we were sitting in a serene valley, I thought that these lessons I'm sharing, I wish they echo back to the readers and to my daughters. And so the valley refers to the valley of Canubin in Lebanon, and the echoes reflect our life events and life lessons that echo back to offer us this opportunity. Now, I've always been passionate about books. I'm always surrounded by books. I love reading, but I've always also harbored the idea of potentially writing. And so, after this first adventure, which I really enjoyed as a process and where I really learned a lot also, I definitely have a plan to probably start considering writing book number two. Uh, it might tackle a bit of a different topic, but always within the framework of leadership and personal growth and personal development, if I may say.
Definitely. It's so beautiful that you're trying your best to bring out something that will impact the life of people, your daughters, and also people around you. It's so much beautiful. And I also like to dive to the point of knowledge. We all have knowledge, we all have understanding, we all have the way we relate and the way we understand things that could make us grow. But in the life that we are into today, we might be the best and not even be the one at the top. And that is where we are having the issue today, because it's not about we being so much intelligent. It is how we can use that intelligence to do things that will definitely be impactful, that will definitely grow an economy and also grow you as a person to be more recognized in the society. That shows that it is not only the intelligence, and that is why I would like to dive to the point of knowledge, because many people could be in a position today. They have this knowledge, but they cannot apply it. They have it, but they can't just apply it. What do you think from the experience you've had at a practical step they can take to turn this wisdom into a daily action that could turn them to into a successful or a good person, Mr. Wissam?
Yes, excellent question. Thank you. Well, Temitope, we live in an age of endless information. So we often consume books, consume podcasts, courses, but we do so by moving too quickly. So many people are stuck because the knowledge stays in their heads. We're drowning in information, but we're starving for wisdom. We're starving for personal growth. So, one interesting concept I'd like to share here is how to move from accumulation of knowledge to application. Okay. And to simplify this process, I can suggest probably three easy steps. The first one is to choose one idea at a time. Okay. We don't have to apply everything we learn in one shot. I invite listeners to pick a single lesson that resonates most with them and focus on practicing it until it becomes second nature. Okay. For example, if I read about how to be a better listener, okay, let me make it a point. If this idea resonates with me, let me make it a point to practice it daily over a week, for example. The second step, bless you, the second step is to anchor it in a daily routine. Okay, so to help myself, I mean, to ease the process, uh, I believe that wisdom's grows with repetition. So let me link the idea and anchor it to another habit. If I, for example, decide to start maybe gratitude journaling, okay, so I can link it to my morning coffee. Every time I'm preparing my morning coffee, I decide to spend a couple of minutes just writing some gratitude statements, acknowledging some blessings I'm living every day. So when I couple it with another habit, it becomes more and more a way of life. And the third step is to continuously reflect and adjust. So at the end of the day, I can ask myself, did I really live this principle today? Okay. Did it work out? Is this knowledge becoming more and more my way of life? So, application comes from repetition and simplicity, and not volume of knowledge. So, the truth is, wisdom is often regarded as how much we know. But in reality, it's about how consistently we live these principles that really matter. I often go by the idea of applying, failing, and learning. Okay. So if we don't apply and fail, we don't learn, and we don't turn this wisdom into practice. And it remains knowledge in notebooks, in libraries, in our heads, but it has to become a daily habit.
Absolutely true. That shows that we have to learn to pick one. No matter how little this idea is, we have to just start with something. It doesn't matter how much our knowledge is, but if we are not ready to take step to bring it into a point whereby you're using it as an action to learn, to fail, and to grow, then we'll be stuck in just one place. So we have to try our best to learn it. And also, as you said earlier, using it in our daily practice. It might be through coffee, it might be what we'll be doing every morning, and using that to apply to develop ourselves. When the time comes, we see issues, we have failures, we have setbacks, then we'll learn from that. We continue to move on and grow with that. But we have to start to pick one. And that is where I would like to dive to Mr. Wissam. Because there is a way someone can say, out of all this knowledge I have, I think this is what I know I am good with, that I can proceed with and develop. And it takes a lot to do that. So I would like to know if when they can recognize the difference between that information they are trying their best to consume and the wisdom that can actually truly transform their journey, because they are two different things. They can know everything, but most of the thing they might know, they might say, let me transform it into a journey. It might not get to that point. But when they see that, okay, these are things that can be transformed into a journey, I think it makes them to be in a better state. So thank you so much. So can you just dive more on that, Mr. Wissam?
Sure, sure. Um, I go back to the idea of information filling our minds, okay? But I think the main idea is for whether wisdom, we're allowing wisdom to change our behavior, okay? So we will know that we have moved from information to wisdom that is touching us when we truly can detect the fact that it's actually allowing us to shift how we think, to shift how we behave, to shift how we treat others, to shift how we make choices. So if we allow it to only be information in our mind and we don't allow it to transform and change our behavior, then it defeats the purpose. If it stays theoretical, then it remains just pure content. It remains noise. Okay. But the real test is, are we allowing it to show up in how we live? Okay. So I truly believe that wisdom really transforms us if we allow it to show up in how we live, in how we make our daily choices, and not only in what we know as information. So uh, I like a statement that says, knowledge informs, but wisdom transforms. You see? So the main point here and the main idea that will allow our listeners to distinguish between pure information and wisdom is is it transforming the way I behave, the way I act, the way I relate to people, the way I communicate, and the way I make my daily choices?
Beautiful. That shows that that shows that the information we have to know how we can transform that information into our daily life and use it as a source for our behavior, choices we make, and every single thing we are doing together on earth. So that shows that we have to get the information, then we have to process it and put it into an action. When we get it into an action, we try our best to use that to change the kind of way we do our behavior and other things that we can use around us to also develop us. That shows that we are transforming that knowledge, we're transforming those information into a sense of wisdom, and we are using it to be more productive in the society. And that is another journey on its own, because we have to now go to a point whereby we'll be learning, we will have failures, we will learn again, setback, we'll learn again, and things start to develop from there. It doesn't matter how much we know, it's how we can use it and how we can take it to the next step. Also, I would like to
Absolutely.
dive to the point of speed, shortcuts, and surface level. In the world we are today, even most especially with the world of technology and social media, we're in a position whereby we are being influenced by a lot of people we see around us. And what we see around us might not be really true, but some people believe it. When they believe those things, they install some things in their mind. And now I'm talking about someone who has taken what he or she has done into action now. He or she might be in a position whereby it's like, okay, this person is doing this way. Let me try my best to probably manipulate and stuff like that. Some thoughts can start to come in. Things that are not meant to be done can start to come in that could really cause a huge damage by the way. There could be people, there could be ways that I say, let me just look this shortcut or stuff like that. So, how do you think listeners can try their best to stay motivated to live by that wisdom when society often reward the speed, shortcut, or surface level of success, Mr. Wissam?
Yeah. Uh, before I answer this question, I'd like to go back to what you mentioned in terms of people comparing themselves to others. And so we all know the famous saying by Mr. Roosevelt, which is that comparison is the thief of joy. Okay. So I always encourage people not to compare themselves to others because you never know what was the journey of the other person, what was the hard work they put, what were their circumstances. I encourage them usually to compare themselves to their previous selves, okay, and put themselves on a growth path against their previous selves. Now, to go back to your question, Tamitopi, the temptation is real. Okay. Society nowadays celebrates quick wins, unfortunately. Okay. But the antidote is to redefine success on our terms. Okay. If we only measure ourselves by society's standards, wisdom will always feel like the slower road. Okay. But if our definition of success includes peace of mind, it includes integrity, it includes strong relationships, then wisdom becomes the most rewarding and sustainable path. So we always have to remember that shortcuts may win applause today, but wisdom will bring legacy for tomorrow. Another thing I'd like to emphasize here these days is the concept of depth versus superficiality. We live in an era of superficiality, but personal growth and wisdom require depth. So we live in times where people often engage in shallow topics. Okay, they're distracted by social media, they're distracted behind their screens, scrolling all day. But to foster growth, one must really delve deep. We must read extensively and in depth, not shallow reading. We must study thoroughly. We must embrace granularity and fight superficiality fiercely. And so I believe that if we start favoring depth over surface and values over speed, okay, this is the true game changer here. So true success is not about speed and shortcuts. It's about building a life that endures. Okay, so that's my opinion about this specific point because it's a fact now. I mean, we live in a fast era, in a fast-paced environment, but it does not mean that this is the pace that determines success.
And also, people are in a position whereby you and I will agree that we're also in a world whereby people do not really like to just hear the truth. Whether one likes it or not, triumph will come. And the truth about every single thing that we have to have in life today is that every single person we see on top and doing well today, they are faced and they have what they faced in their own time. And we have what we are going to face. And whether we like it or not, we have to place those steps in. Because success doesn't come within a night. To some people it takes 10, some people it takes 15 years before it actually starts to come in. And that is the beauty of success because it's constant growth, constant failure, and also learning by the way. And that is what we have to continue to adapt and grow with. There is no shortcut. If we have shortcut, most of the time it falls back at us. We get to a position whereby it gets back to us and it really hits us hard. And I completely agree with you with everything you say because we are not in a position, we're in a position whereby we shouldn't compare ourselves with others because we have different journey, we have different personality, we have different way we do our thing. What we
True.
need to do is to work ourselves and see what could work for us and develop that. And we will face the triumphs and ups and downs, face the reality and be one authentic self. Also, I would like to dive to people who would like to say, where do I start? I know all this. I know I'm very good. I know I do this. I know I do that. But where do I start? For someone beginning their self improvement journey today, what do you think is the first step they can take in stepping into their life with wisdom, Mr. Wissam?
Well, Temitope, I would say that the very first step is about awareness. You see, you cannot change what you cannot see. Okay. And so before changing anything, you have to notice. You have to notice your habits. You have to notice your triggers, your thought patterns, your behaviors. Once you become aware, you can start making small adjustments. Okay. Think of it like a flashlight in a dark room. You cannot rearrange what you cannot see. So awareness is the seed of transformation. Beyond awareness, I would also add a few other ideas. The first idea is about cultivating the mind, continuously cultivating the mind. Okay. So once we're aware of our habits, of our thoughts, of our behaviors, then we move to continuously cultivating our mind by reading, by learning, by researching, by spending time with mentors, with elderly people who carry a lot of wisdom, with experienced rich people, by also adopting a lifelong learning mindset. You know, we keep learning by the day, and we have to adopt a lifelong learning mindset. By also spending time in solitude. You know, there's a big difference between being lonely and being alone. So the ability to sit by yourself and innovate and create and reflect and think by favoring, as I said earlier, depth over superficiality, by practicing detachment. All these ideas uh, can help people engage and embark on the personal growth journey, on the wisdom journey. But I definitely recommend the very first step to be awareness.
Thank you so much for that beautiful insight. Awareness is very important if we want to decide on something what to work on, because there is something that is innate. The choice that we make is a choice that we are going to know that every single thing will come in, and also the ups and downs will come in, and we are dedicating our life, our soul into such thing, and it could be something we would rely on to the rest of our life. So we have to be very, very awareness is very important. We have to be aware of, okay, what do I think and I love what you said. Head other people. We need to engage with people that also know more regarding some stuff like that, because head other people and also people are being on feeds also. We learn a lot, and we also give them the sense of respect, because head other people most of the time really love something we call respect, and they really embrace you with that. And if we can continue to do that and be more aware with what we have, with what we see, with what we do, I think I love doing this thing, then that is awareness. Then we can know how to develop it. Thank you so much for the beautiful insight. I would like to go back to your book, Mr. Wissam, Echoes of
Sure.
a Valley. If you could leave the listeners with one lesson or timeless truth from your book, and also one thing from the decades of the experience you've had, what do you think that thing will be, Mr. Wissam?
Okay. I will try to leave you with probably more than one truth, but let me start with one important truth. I would say first to realize the fact that wisdom is not something that you find or reach once and for all. It's something you practice daily until it becomes a way of life. So life is not built in grand moments and big leaps. Life is built in small choices that are repeated consistently and that are aligned with our values. So over decades, these choices write the story of who we become. Another truth I'd like to share, and which I place a lot of importance on in my book, is respecting time. Okay, embracing the present and living in the now. I I start my book with a phrase with my daughters where I ask them to do it while they still can. Okay. And you might ask me to do what while we still can. Okay. We don't know what tomorrow will bring. Okay. So read that book while you still can. Dance that dance while you still can. Make that trip that you've always dreamed of while you still can. Because We don't know what tomorrow holds. And so, uh, respecting time and living in the present is really something or a truth that I'd like also to leave with the listeners. Uh, Another truth I also live by is to invite listeners to live to serve. You know, when you start serving people, it offers you an indescribable inner joy. Okay. Uh, we have to learn to serve without expecting anything in return. And then the rewards will come back to us in ways we never imagined. And so, to, to make a long story short, uh, I think we have to realize, as I started, that wisdom is a daily practice. Wisdom is not a final destination. It's a journey that we're embarking on and that we have to keep nurturing every day. And so, yeah, uh, I know that listeners might be asking themselves, where do I start? Or might be wanting to hear one truth among many. There are many truths that I share in the book. There are many lessons that I share in the book. Uh, they are an accumulation of lived experiences that I believe in. They definitely revolve around core values. Okay, and so yeah, I invite people to really be aware that this journey is a continuous journey. It's a never-ending journey. That they have to keep probably enriching through learning, through different wisdom sources and ways of living.
Thank you so much for the beautiful insight, Mr. Wissam. It shows that our life on earth, we should make it more whole and beautiful. We should respect time and also should try our best to be more productive in the life we find ourselves. And volunteering, as you said, is so beautiful because these are things people think is just like little. But no matter how little things that we do from the bottom of our heart, it really helps us in a very big way. I'm a witness to that, and it's really, really helps in a very huge way. I also thank you for other insights you brought as well from your book, Echoes of a Valley. Also, Mr. Wissam, there's a question I normally ask during the end of the show. From our forefathers,
Sure.
from our ancestors, there are a lot of beautiful things that do exist during our ancestral time that is missing in our time today. If there is anyone or anything you would like to bring back to our time today, Mr. Wissam, what do you think that thing will be, Mr. Wissam?
You know, I do believe that our ancestors uh, learned how to pause, learned how to be in silence, how to be in stillness, and how to really reflect on life and live life in a slow pace, but happily. We think today that by engaging in a fast paced life and by probably going after material possessions, this is the source of happiness. Well, let me tell you that throughout my life, the older I get, the more I realize that happiness is found in the small things in life, in the beautiful choices we make, in friendships, in living and abiding by personal values. So our ancestors lived simple lives. It wasn't complicated. It wasn't full of material possessions. The pace was slower. They had time for each other. They had time for relationships, for friendships, for connections, for human bonding. So this is something we lack these days. And this is why I always invite readers and listeners, friends and colleagues to slow down every now and then, to
Mhm.
pause every now and then, to reflect every now and then, to be in solitude every now and then, and to simplify their lives because truly inner joy is found by serving others, by loving others, by caring for others. And true happiness, as I said, is found in serving people around us. Uh, so, so this is one of the principles I live by. I know that life is taking us by a storm, and I know that the pace is getting quicker and quicker. But I do believe by simplifying our lives, by going as minimalistic as possible, and by pausing and reflecting every now and then, this is where we probably use our inner compass to guide our lives back to joy and happiness again. So that's my view of things.
And that is true. In our world today, people are really, really in hurry of everything. Everyone are just in the system. Everything are just really in ease. And we have to learn to be simple. We have to learn to slow down. We have to learn to spend some time with friends, spend some time with family, because that is where the true joy is. Because we're in a position whereby when we are in fast pace, there is a point we could get to a position whereby things get tough to the point that we have anxiety, and we get to a point whereby we won't be able to have anyone who will be there for us. But if we could have people, companion, people could be around us and live a life slowly, I think we'll be in a point whereby we'll be so happy, we'll be proud of the little that we have, and we'll enjoy the beauty of the world we find ourselves. From the bottom of my heart, you have a very big wisdom, Mr. Wissam. I have to be honest with you with our discussion. I really see it. And I also want to thank you for spending the time to speak on this very specific topic and taking the time to have this dialogue and conversation that will help a lot of people. Thank you so much, Mr. Wissam.
I thank you, Tamitope. I thank you for your trust. I thank you for having offered me the opportunity to share some of the lessons I compiled in my book. It was a true pleasure, and I wish you all the best in your podcast.
Sure, definitely. Have a wonderful day, Mr. Wissam. Bye bye.
Bye bye. Thank you so much.